Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Tony, I'm listening. Yep. I think you are correct. I think, Greg Sankey ain't going to get mocked like you're getting mocked. Because the college football reporters need to keep their access. Can you hold on a minute, Tony? Can you all wait for a moment? I'm on the phone with the commish. Yeah, go ahead. Now, my question is, are you going high? Is this a negotiation ploy? Are you throwing out, going, 28, 24? Is that really what you're trying to get it down to 20 to 18? Or is that what you really want to do? You really want to go to 24, 28? Mm-hmm. Oh, really? Now, let me get this. What you're basically saying is the Southeastern Conference is willing to do this. Mm-hmm. Allegedly. And of course, hold on a second. I'm allegedly talking to the commish. Can you hold on a second? Yeah. Go ahead, Tony. Oh, because the Southeastern Conference wants to do crossover play-in games. Oh, wow! So it would be predetermined on how many teams in each conference would be afforded the opportunity to play in a playing game, but it would not be an automatic qualifier for the team to get in the playoffs. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Very interesting. So what you did is you took the fat guy from Minnesota's idea and you made it bigger, you made it better, you made it stronger. When are you going to talk to, Yormark, Yormark and Phillips? Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. Hey, if you need any more help from me, if you need any, I know, look, I don't agree with the Michigan thing. That's a travesty. That was a travesty. Yep. All right. Okay. I will, I'll talk to you later, Commissioner. Thanks for the call. Goodbye. We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do us well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends if you want to support this rebel outpost. And my goodness, this is the absolute rebel outpost, the rebel outpost of all of college football. If you want to support this outpost, if you want to support the home for the college football sickos with a donation, help us keep the lights on. Hit that $sign where you make your comments, and I'll get to Super Chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. And 90% of you are going to disagree with the fat guy from Minnesota. And that is okay. That is what this show was built for. But I got to tell you, if you are squeamish, if you are feeling a little sensitive today, if you don't want to listen to the Pflugarian Empire's rant, well, this might not be the show for you. This might not be the show for you. Opie, my head has exploded. I will never be able to work again. Thank you for the super chat. Opie, I appreciate your generosity, helping us keep the lights on. Thank you, sir. Thank you so kindly. Wow, Opie with another massive super chat. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you, Neil Sandler. Yes, I hopefully that worked. Look, guys and gals, I don't know. I don't even know where to begin. Let me start at the end and then we'll come backwards. The end is large AQ playoff model is destiny. It is. And I'm going to talk about why it's the destiny at the very back end of this one story monologue. We're only going to be covering this. There's a lot of motivations for this. Lots of them. Oh, I know. I've heard it. The Big Ten is in trouble. The Big Ten needs their regular season games to mean more. The ratings are horrible. The Big Ten is crap. I've heard of it. I get it. I disagree, but I understand where you guys are coming from. But what is going to happen in a very short period of time? I'm talking about on the calendar. You have been a witness to a lot of changes in the last 25, 30 years. More changes are coming. And you know what those changes include? Do you know what those changes include? You like it or you don't like it, it don't really matter, but the Southeastern Conference is going to expand. Oh my God, Greg, did you just say that? The Southeastern Conference is going to expand. The Big Ten Conference is going to expand. The Big 12 Conference most likely is going to expand. The ACC is most likely going to survive in backfield. And when you have these large conferences, and where you're going to max out at 9 conference games, possibly 10, but probably at 9, you're going to have imbalanced schedules in large conferences. You're going to want conference races to actually matter. Not matter to the selection committee, matter to you, matter to me. To look at the standings like we do in every other sport, Major League Baseball, NBA. Let's take the NFL. Look how many teams that make the playoffs versus how many teams exist. Look how they put juice into the regular season. It don't matter if a team is, I don't even know how many games they play anymore. 10-7, 9-8. If they make the playoffs according to the standings, guess what? They go to the playoffs. And nobody is having a heart attack over that. Nobody is having a stroke over that. We have blowouts in the NFL. We have blowouts in the playoffs, and nobody is losing themselves over it. You create interest. You create value in the regular season by giving as many teams the best you can, the best opportunity to get playoff access longer into the season. That's how you do it. You know, all these college football reporters, I love all of you, by the way. Some of you watch the show, but you know I disagree with you. All these college football reporters, they want a CBA. So do I. They want college football, the student athletes to be more represented. So do I. They want college football to be more competitive. They want college football to be more like the NFL, except when it comes to playoff access, except when it comes to purity. Oh, we can't have a 6-3 team in a conference make the playoffs. That's horrible. Oh no! While most of those college football reporters wanted a 5-3 Alabama, a 5-3 in an Ole Miss, and a 5-3 South Carolina to make the playoffs last year in a 12-team playoff. How many of you actually understand, because it just came out on a report, and baby, you know I'm going to cover it. Did you know that in The Athletic, the report that they just put out, and we're going to be covering it, did you know that the Southeastern Conference, remember the Southeastern Conference, the most powerful, valuable conference in the country. Greg Sankey, doesn't make mistakes, right? The college football reporters love him. They love keeping their access with him. They would never mock him like they've done to Petiti over and over and over and over and over again. By the way, I mock all the commissioners when I believe it's called for. Do you know that the Southeastern Conference has been looking into their own enlarged playoff model of 32 teams? 32. What, you think that's going to be a 5 plus 27? Really? No. It's time for people to get a grip. It's time for people to get a grip. Why do you think the Southeastern Conference wants to enlarge the playoffs greatly? Why do you think the Big Ten wants to enlarge the playoff greatly? Yes, it's the money. Yes, it's exposure. Yes, they need the money. So does the Big 12 schools. So does the ACC schools. I don't care what billionaire you've got. You need money. The Southeastern Conference is not going to stay at 16 teams. Big 12 ain't going to stay at 16 teams. Of course this is going to evolve into an AQ model. We're not going to have a 5 plus whatever. So we got to go to an AQ model. It's going to happen. It's going to absolutely happen. Now, it may not happen in the next 4 years. It may not happen in the next 5 years because Tony Petitti sucks, correct? The Big Ten, they're evil. They're the Darth Vader. And the Southeastern Conference, they might want it. It looks like they've been looking at it according to the Athletic, but they might flip back and forth, whatever. It might not happen. But eventually it's going to happen. Now, the question I have for my ACC and Big 12 and the Mid-American, my brothers and sisters of the Mid-American, my brothers and sisters of the Sun Belt, my brothers and sisters of the newly created Pac-12 Conference coming in 2026. My brothers and sisters from the Mountain West Conference. My brothers and sisters from the American. Big 12, ACC. My question is, do you want to do it now? Or do you want to do this later when we're going to have to be facing all this ridiculous leverage that the Big Ten and the SEC are going to deploy on us? In other words, the threat of a breakaway. The Big Ten is going to expand. The SEC is going to expand. The college football playoffs are going to expand. And they're going to include an AQ model at some point. So let's get it done now. Let's get it done now. What are we waiting for? We are going to go through the Athletic. There is a couple of morsels in there. A couple of morsels in there that is quite interesting. There may be, look, we may be on the cusp of figuring out what the Southeastern Conference truly wants. And I think I like the idea. And a lot of you have brought up the idea. And I'm for it. Crossover playing games. Let's go. Let's do it. If you are a fifth place qualifier in if you finish fifth place in the Big 12, you will play whatever place team in the Big 10. The winner goes to the playoffs. Let's go. What we're trying to do, ladies and gentlemen, what we're trying to do is build in more quality, more value, more drama into the regular season, just like the NFL has absolutely mastered. Not this 5+11 where everyone's going, well, let's take a look at this metric and schedule of stress, strength of schedule, strength of results, strength of continuity, propaganda. Greg Sankey talking all over ESPN. Silent Tony and Phillips hiding behind the furniture. Let the conference races and the play-in games, the standings, the conference standings, races, and playing games, that should be the storylines of college football during the regular season. Not 12 play. You know how many people out there are complaining about the polls? But yet they want the 12-person playoff committee to decide the 5+11, the 11 teams. Nobody has made sense to me on that. The same people who are complaining about the polls are saying, but 5+11, you win it on the field. You win it on the field on the 5+11 model. Greg, don't you understand? No, you don't. You win it in the boardroom. You win it in that room. BYU did not have a chance last year. 10-2, they didn't have a chance at 10-2. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Now, if you don't like the AQ model, okay. If you want to go to a 5+11 with the SEC staying at 8 conference games, if you want that to play out for the next 4 or 5 years, okay, we're just going to have to agree to disagree. But the argument that you can no longer make, in my opinion, the Southeastern Conference, we're going to get to it in a moment. The Southeastern Conference ultimate position on this is probably most likely, in my opinion, undoubtedly, more closer to the Big Ten's position than I think a lot of people would like to admit, especially the college football reporters. We are going to get into that. Let me go through some very incredibly generous super chats. We're going to do a roll call. Then we're going to go through The Athletic, the article written. There's some stuff in there, ladies and gentlemen. There is some stuff in there we got to go through. So buckle up. Again, this live show is not for the squeamish. If you are feeling very sensitive today, this might not be the live show, and I apologize, and we'll kick it around again Sunday for you. We'll have a live show Sunday, and I promise I'm going to tone it down tomorrow on a lazy Sunday afternoon. But this show, This show is about the future of college football. And the college football playoff format is going to shape that future greatly. And Tony Petitti, he has listened to the fat guy from Minnesota, Preston from Greensboro. A 2014 playoff would be good for conferences, schools, advertisers, everyone but their players playing 17 games. Well, they're going to have to bring up the brink truck. They're going to have to pay these guys. They're going to have to pay them. They're going to have to pay them or it ain't going to work. It can't happen. Preston from Greensboro, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you so much for your generosity. I do appreciate it. Petitti stole my plan. The evil badger. Petiti stole my plan. Well, good. I'm glad he stole it. I'm glad he stole it, Evil Badger. I did see you make that comment in the video. We did an episode 453, Evil Badger. I'm glad he stole your plan. Opie, do we know how many extra games added that would be for the 24 or 28? I do not know. Now, we're going to go over the Athletic and look, we're going to take your phone calls. And some of you are going to be, a lot of you, every one of you are going to be a lot smarter than I am, and you can explain how this is going to work. Okay? I think that's one of the... I don't know the answer, Opie. I do not know the answer. But maybe by the end of the show, we'll get an answer from you geniuses in the chat room. Thank you, Opie. Appreciate it. Appreciate the question. Please, somebody answer that question. Boy, look at this. Bill G did it again. Bill G did it absolutely once again. 5 gifted memberships. No, I did not see who were granted the 5 gifted memberships, but whoever were given a membership to Early Pete Cloak and Dagger, please say thank you to Bill G in the chat room. All 5 of you and Bill G are officially knighted. Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger. Thank you, Bill G. Thank you so very much. I very much appreciate it. I cannot wait to get into this Athletic article, to all the reporting that is going on. Boy, I think some of this is going to be a shock. Preston from Greensboro, did Petiti call collect? No comment. No comment. That was allegedly Tony Petiti on the line. I cannot deny nor confirm if that was the commissioner on the line with the fat guy from Minnesota. Thank you for the super chat. Ryan Thomas, I can get on board with a 5-4. 5-5, 4-4-1, and 5 at large. Ryan Thomas is throwing his options onto the table. Again, AQ model blows away 11 at large bid model. But the AQ model at 16 is too damn small. It's too small. Tony Petiti, it's too small. And again, I got to be honest here. Tony Petiti hasn't quite listened to everything we have said here at Peek Around the Corner, because according to ESPN, which we're not going to go through their report, but you are going to have to either trust me, bro, or go look it up yourself. But according to ESPN, Tony Petiti has not made up his mind yet, which is fine, but he has not made up his mind yet on which model he prefers the most, 16, 24, or 28. So Tony Petiti is still flirting around the 16T model, which means Tony Petiti hasn't totally grasped the concept, the idea. I think it's the fact that 16 is too small. It's too small. It won't work. It won't work. And that is why I'm hoping, because Tony Petiti, because this idea was just talked about within their athletic directors. When this story first broke today, I'm thinking, thank God Tony Petiti has figured out that 16 is too small. But according to ESPN, he hasn't quite figured that out yet. That is one of the options. 4-4-2-2-1-3 is absolutely dead. And I'm going to say this. Any model that doesn't have at-large bids should be dead. Should be absolutely destroyed. The reason being, one, of course, we got to include Notre Dame and UConn. They're independent. They need access. I've often talked about the walls closing in on Notre Dame, but This is not how the walls are closing in for different reasons, not because of playoff access. Notre Dame, UConn, independent programs should have playoff access, but that's not the only reason you need at-large bids. You need at-large bids so you keep non-conference games as valuable as they possibly can. In fact, you create more value. 2 bites of the apple playoff format. 1, there's at-large bids at the end of the rainbow. There are at-large bids when a team who had a great season loses the play-in game. They have a chance for that large bid, right? Or a team that doesn't quite make the play-in game because of tiebreakers, and they still have a shot in that large bid. Also, what's important about making sure there are multiple at-large bids in whatever AQ model you choose is because you do not want to cap a conference. You do not want to mathematically, psychologically, emotionally, brand-wise, you do not want to cap a conference at exactly what the model shows for them to get. So you need to have at-large bids in your model for multiple reasons, much like what Ryan Thomas has. Ryan Thomas, Daniel Gorby, I have seen a lot of chat today on message boards today that the SEC will be announcing by the end of this month. Announcing what? Are you talking expansion? Daniel Gorby, let me know if you meant expansion on that, or if you're talking playoff format. I'm assuming you're talking playoff expansion. Let me know, Daniel Gorby. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate your kindness. Has been 18, 20, 24. Worst case of football inflation since Tom Brady's footballs hang with the 4-4-2-2-1-3 model. Well, I happen to think the 4-4-2-2-1-3 model has just a little bit more air than Tom Brady's footballs. I think it's completely dead. I think it doesn't give the Big 12 and the ACC enough. It does not give those two conferences enough value. Has been, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. Opie, I believe the Godfather mistakenly drank a sugar-loaded Diet Coke instead of his zero sugar cherry Coke. I am drinking water today, ladies and gentlemen. I don't need no zero Coke to do this live show. Thank you for the super chat. Very much appreciated, Opie. Okay. Kalani's in the house. I'm sorry for the late roll call. We got a lot to get through. D5 Terps is in the house. James Davis, DCB 6778, Go Black 45. No safe spaces here for Greg the Gold. Smile Time is in the house. Deadeye Yo. BYU football wants 8. Stephen Vitt. The future of college football looks like a giant toilet bowl filled with backstage politics. Mr. Monkey says, I say draw the line at 15. The entire SEC except Missouri makes the playoff. Mr. Monkey says, Missouri's making the playoffs this year. They're making the playoffs this year. Absolutely. Look at that. They're going to be coming in at number 11. Greg the Gold, number 11. Mr. Monkey says, Rock Chalk Jayhawks, people in the PATC family are incredibly angry with me. Tim Bruchmiller is in the house. Georgia Bulldog, Don Scruggs is here. Jose, 23-year-old making millions, but God forbid they play a few more football games. Chef Maul's in the house. Jerry is here. Manic Reactions is in the house. But who else is here? David Kreitzer, Stormy Cyclone. The Big Ten is really trying to shove this down our throat. We haven't even played 2 years of the old model. Vox Quindaro, Rock Chalk, Jayhawk, Christopher Hooter is in the house. Buckshot Kid. Rich Austin is here. 30-team playoff is sounding like the new generation of everyone gets a trophy. MBM, oh boy, MBM, he's not going to be happy with me today. I apologize to Mr. Cowboy. Not going to be happy with the fat guy from Minnesota. Laura Weiss, Texas Tech Red Raider is in the house. Al Bundy is here. Jay Chapman is here. Brick Bat is in the house. Anthony Eason, the King Frog. Oh boy, I'm going to miss some people. I apologize. Let's see. Go Black. I got Go Black. Lockman is in the house. 12-team playoff is already too many. Woo! Boy. Okay, let's get to it, guys. Let's get to it. This article was just released about an hour before we came on live. Most of you, I would guess a good 90% of you have not seen it yet. We are going to go through it. This is the reporting from The Athletic. Ralph Russo. The Big Ten working on a supersized college football playoff plans with 28 or 24 teams to replace the championship games. Now listen, there's going to be some new nuggets in this. Okay? The Big Ten has been working on a supersized potential college football playoff format that could at least double the current 12-team field and convert conference championship weekend into an expansive first round, according to multiple people who have been briefed on the concept. The idea for a tournament with as many as 28 teams is just that at this point. It's just an idea. It was presented to the Big Ten athletic directors for the first time last week, one source said. Sources spoke to The Athletic on condition of anonymity on Saturday because the plan was in such an early stage of development. The Power Four conference commissioners have not had anything more than a cursory discussions about the possibility of a massive postseason expansion. And nothing has been presented to any of the other FBS commissioners or Notre Dame Fighting Irish. The Big Ten was expected to send a slide deck with some details of the plan to the SEC this coming up week. One source called the plan a thought starter. Another expressed frustration with the plan leaking before it could be distributed among the decision makers. No one knew anything about this, the second source said. The CFP expansion talks have hit a snarl in the past few months. Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti has been pushing for an expanded field that would include multiple automatic bids for each power conference. The so-called 4-4-2-2-1-3 model would include a total of 16 teams, with the SEC Big Ten getting 4 auto bids, ACC Big 12 getting 2 each, and 1 bid for the highest ranked champion from a non-P4 leagues, plus 3 at-large bids. The Big Ten has a plan to determine its 4 CFP participants in that model through a combination of conference standings and play-in games on championship weekend, which would give teams ranked 3 through 6 in the standings a chance to secure a playoff spot. The SEC had not yet committed to how it would reimagine its conference championship weekend under the model. Listen to this. PATC money shot number 1. Some SEC administrators did not like the idea that the Big Ten teams would play into a 16-team CFP bracket by playing against each other. If there was a play-in between the SEC and the Big Ten, I think a lot more people would be on board with it. An SEC athletic director told The Athletic earlier this summer. Adding even more teams could bring something like that closer to reality. Crossover playing games, ladies and gentlemen. Crossover play-in games. Big Ten officials and administrators believed the Southeastern Conference was on board with their proposed auto bid heavy 16-team model, even though both the Big 12 and the ACC were adamantly against it. The latter two conferences feared the brand damage that would come with a CFP format that deems their leagues half as good as the Big Ten and the SEC. The Big 12 pushed back with its public support of a 5-11 format that included 5 conference champions and 11 at-large bids. The model intrigued the SEC coaches and some athletic directors and left the two most powerful leagues at an impasse. The Big Ten isn't giving up on automatic bids, which Petitti insists will enhance the regular season by keeping more teams in the playoff race deeper into November. He has also expressed dismay at leaning so hard on a selection committee to pick the playoff teams. Petitti is in his second year as the Big Ten commissioner after a long stint as a high-ranking executive at a Major League Baseball where he worked on expanding those playoffs. The new idea would have the Big Ten and the SEC receive 7 or 6 auto bids, while the Big 12 and the ACC receive 2 fewer. Trying to get the Big 12 and the ACC on board. Both the 28 and 24 team brackets would leave 4 slots for the non-automatic qualifiers. And also it would include an extra spot for a G6 team. There would be 2 G6 teams in some of these models. A 2018 field would include 4 first-round byes and a second round of games played entirely at home stadiums. A 24-team field would have 8 byes and again 2 rounds of home games. First-round games would be organized to emphasize matchups between teams in different conferences. The plan would be an extensive of the intra-conference play-in game idea with the matchups across conferences as playoff games. A playoff this big would also require some restructuring of conference television deals that now include championship games, creating a lot of new broadcast inventory in return for eliminating showdowns between the league's top 2 teams. It would also raise questions about whether ESPN, which currently owns the broadcast rights to all CFP games, although they have sub-licensed them out to TNT, some of them, would still hold claim over what would essentially be a new play-in round. A change this significant might be difficult to put into place for the 2026 season, even if the conferences could reach an agreement in the next few months. Another source said that more realistically, this could be a format to implement in 2027. Here comes the PATC money shot number 2. Petitti and SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey both said during the respective football media days events that if agreement can't be reached on expansion, the CFP could stay at 12 for 2026. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. A mega expansion that eliminates conference championship games is not an idea exclusive to the Big Ten. The Southeastern Conference has internally looked at a playoff as large as 32 teams over the past few months. Oh no! A person involved in those discussions told The Athletic that can't be true. That can't be true. It's only Tony Petitti who's lost his mind. It's only Tony Petitti who's a nut job. It's only the fat guy from Minnesota who's had his cheese slip off his cracker. It can't possibly be true. The Southeastern Conference is too wise to do something like this. Too much wisdom to look into something like this. They're too sophisticated. The Southeastern Conference is too sophisticated to look into something like this. Why do you think the Southeastern Conference is looking at this? Why? Why? Answer that question. Why do you think the Southeastern Conference has internally looked at a playoffs as large as 32? So they've looked at 24. They've looked at 28. They've looked at 20. Why are they doing that? Because it's more money. They want more exposure. And they want to expand their conference. This is why. This is why. Missouri coach Eli Drinkwitz recently outlined a plan for a 30-team bracket. Now you're talking about an opportunity for 30 teams, 30 fan bases to be excited and engaged in giving revenue. You've got 30 teams with players who have access to compete for a championship. So for me, I think that makes a lot more sense. The next meeting at the full CFP Management Committee, which includes all 10 FBS conference commissioners and Notre Dame's athletic director, is scheduled for September 24th at the Big Ten offices outside of Chicago. That is the next CFP meeting in the hometown of Big Ten football, the Big Ten Conference. Rosemount, right outside of Chicago, Illinois, September 24th. Okay, let me give you my last thoughts on this. Not my last thoughts, but last thoughts on this in this monologue. Let me take a drink, and then we're going to get to your phone calls. The rest of the program is the phone lines are going to be wide open. You can let me know, has your vision of what the college football playoff format, has it changed? Has it developed? Is it bigger? Is it even smaller? What do you think going forward? But let me tell you guys, I wanna make sure I get this point across. Whatever college football playoff format they decide on, whatever college football playoff format the Southeastern Conference is working on right now, as the Athletic has reported, internally they have looked at playoff as large as 32 teams. So they've looked at 28. They've looked at 24. But they're just not going to get mocked by the precious college football reporters out there. As the Southeastern Conference is looking at this, as the Big Ten is looking at this, and I got to say, if Brett Yormark is looking at this, they're not looking at what they look like today. The Big Ten does not believe they're going to be an 18-team conference in 2030. The Southeastern Conference is now looking internally and thinking in 2030-31, we are going to be a 16-team playoff. Brett Yormark is pulling the trigger over here. He's hitting the pause button over there, all based on what he believes is going to happen, some sort of at least minor implosion, if not a major implosion, of the ACC. Nobody is working on the college football playoff format for the future of how it looks today. Nobody's doing that. It's the reason why we've just skipped over 14. This year we're going to have another 12-team playoffs. Whatever we end up with for 2027, 28, it ain't going to be 14. We're going to 16. We're probably going higher. We are going higher. I mean, eventually we are going to go higher. It's why, for the last couple of months, guys, I've been saying 16 is too small. It's too small for an AQ model. It is. It just is. It doesn't work. It's simple math. It's simple math. You know, people keep saying great. We have this, you know, the world is more than just the Big Ten and the SEC. Great, we don't want a breakaway. Great, we want more access. Well, I've agreed with you for a decade. That's why I'm fighting for an AQ model. Not for some sort of metrics that sets up one conference and, let's be honest, the Big Ten with way more advantages. Some metric, some propaganda machine, something where it just gets dominated by Paul Feinbaum and all the college football reporters, even including the Big Ten ones. No, I want the conference standings to mean something. I want the play-in games to mean something. You got to win to get in, baby. You got to win it on the field. You got to win to get in. The AQ, no, and I get it. Most people are saying, well, Greg, you might have a point, but it's not fair for the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten to have more AQ spots than the Big 12 and the ACC. And you know what? You're correct. But when I'm talking about this, I'm trying to create a playoff format that isn't about complete equity. I'm talking about something that will get passed. The reality is the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten, they have the power. That's the reality. The reality is they get distributed more playoff money. That's the reality. The reality is if you go into an AQ, they're going to have more AQ spots. However, I have taken the position on this channel to say that 2 is not enough for the Big 12 and the ACC. They're not getting the benefit of the AQ model. They need more. I've also said on this channel that there should be a 3-year look-in, that these numbers should be adjusted. And I love the idea. I love it. And I hope, look, I'm not smart enough to do this. I'm a moron, as you all know. I lean, as a host of a college football YouTube channel, I lean on the community more than any other host out there. I'm going to lean on you guys. Come up with a 24, 28, 20, whatever, just take a number that's higher than 18, because it sounds like that's not going to, I love the 18, but whatever. Take a number and figure out a play-in schedule in which we get a Big Ten playing an ACC team for a play-in game. A Big 12 playing an ACC in a play-in game. A Big 12 playing an SEC team in a play-in. Get all those combinations. Put it down. Mark it down. Provide me a picture. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm calling a timeout. I'm going to give you guys my PATC email address for a couple of reasons. For the first time ever, I am going to put out my PATC email address for a bunch of different reasons. First of all, when it comes to this subject, I want you guys to send me your ideas for this enlarged college football playoff format in which we get crossover playing games among the power conferences. That's the first thing I want to put out there. Please send me your ideas. You want to win it on the field? Let's do it. I don't care if at the end of the playing games there's only 2 Southeastern Conference teams, or there's only 2 Big Ten teams, or I don't care. I want drama. I want drama. I wanted to win it on the field. You're in. I want everybody to know in the chat room, where is your pathway to the playoffs after 3, 4, 5 weeks into the season? That's what I want. I want everybody to know what they need to do to get to the playoffs. I don't want this propaganda no more. I want conference standings to lead you into a play-in game. And if you win the damn play-in game, you're in. I don't care what your record is. I don't care if you're 8-4. Good. If you got in, baby. Just like the NFL. And if you're 12-0 and you lose your play-in game and you're 11-1, you still got a shot at one of the at-large bids. So give me your ideas and let me know. So this is my email address. If anybody gives me Nigerian Prince stuff or anything, I'm just going to go and block it. So make it college football. My email address is flugempire@gmail.com. At flugempire@gmail.com. flugempire@gmail.com. Give me your ideas. There's also another reason why I giving you my work this channel's email address. We are going to eventually start the show with a montage where we're going to have a video of a bunch of things, pictures and past events here at Peek Around the Corner. And if you've got any favorite clips of this show, if there's something that happened on this show, some sort of saying, some sort of rant, whatever it is, send it to me at flugempire@gmail.com. For the next couple of months, we are going to build out this video at the beginning of our show, and so we need people's favorite clips if you've got any. Also, if you've got a skill at creating a montage, a video, also let me know in my email address, and I'll pay some money for you if you want to try to create something on your own. I've got some people that are going to try to create something, but send me your favorite clips of the show. Anyways, okay, we're off the beaten path. But let me end with this, and then we are going to open up the phone lines. The biggest reasons why I want this to happen, besides I think it makes the regular season even more fantastic, but one of the biggest reasons I want this to happen, because I don't want no breakaway. I understand that the Southeastern Conference is the most powerful, valuable, I still believe the best football conference in the land. I don't want them breaking away. I think the Big Ten is the second best football conference. I think the gap has closed. I think the money coming to those two conferences, I think the gap is going to widen. I think the Big Ten is going to get bigger. The Southeastern Conference is going to get bigger. I do not want the Big 12 and the ACC just to go away. Hell, I'm the one that's been fighting for G5, now G6 schools. I don't want them to go away. They need their playoff access. In these models, it's built in for 2 G6 teams to make the playoffs. They'd probably be part of the first round playing games, whatever you want to call it. This playoff model that we're talking about, that a lot of people don't like, this AQ model, if the SEC and the Big Ten breaks away in 2031, and they both go to 24 teams and they break away, what type of playoff model do you think they're going to institute? They're going to institute something like this. They're going to have AQs. They're going to have an NFL type of system. So let's do it now. Let's get it codified, socialized, instituted. People get used to it. Let's do it now. And yes, the Southeastern Conference is going to have a couple more teams that are going to reach into the playoff segment of the playoffs. And so will the Big Ten. But this model, above any other model out there that could potentially pass, this model would give the most exposure, the most interest, the most opportunity to ACC teams not named Florida State, Miami, Clemson, and to the Big 12 teams. This model gives you the most. And for those who are concerned that it doesn't give you the equal of the SEC and the Big Ten, I would agree with you. But that battle has been waged. And now this is reality. And this model also gives an opportunity to get more Big 12 teams, more ACC teams into the playoffs. And if you win those games against the Big 10 and the SEC, well, things could change once again. This AQ model, the large AQ model, completely, again, my opinion, completely annihilates the 5+11 model in so many different ways. Every time I've seen a college football reporter today on X mock Tony Petitti, and by the way, if you're late to the show, SEC's doing the same damn thing. They've been looking at playoff models as large as 32 teams, and you got to know there are AQ models. They're not 5+27 models. Every time I've read every one of those college football reporters, and they all said the same thing, talking about a herd mentality. All of them mocking the idea of a large playoff system, AQ, and playing games where it's actually decided on the field, where you, the football fan, can actually read the conference standings, and you're going to be able to figure out, ooh, we got a shot to play in. We might play Florida State in a playing game. We might play North Carolina State. We might play Baylor. If we lose this game, we're going to play BYU. Oh, if we lose this game, we got to go on the road and play Colorado in a Big 12 playing game. They don't, for whatever reason, it doesn't seem like they want that. They don't want that in this sport. Why? Why don't they want that? One last thing, we are going to go to your phone lines. One more thing. Greg, don't you understand? You're watering down everything. You're watering it down everything. We don't want no 8-4 team. We don't want no 7-5 team. We don't even want a 6-3, 9-3 team. And we don't want this, Greg. This is the new age of college football. We've got NIL. We've got rev share. We got more 5 stars being spread out to more teams than ever before in the history of the modern day recruiting measurements from Rivals and ESPN and 247 and On3. Watered down. We had a team last year that finished 4th in the Big Ten, and they won it. They were fantastic during the playoffs. Watered down. If it was up to the majority of these college football reporters, the Buckeyes went out even sniffed the playoffs last year. This is a different college football era. This is different than it was in the 90s, in the 80s, in the 70s, in the 60s. This is completely different. When the playoffs start, who knows, baby? Who knows what's going to happen? Every team is one injury away from slipping, and the other team is one injury away from their opponents from rising to the next round. More exposure, more playoff access, more money going to the players, more fans being more interested later in the season. And the only 2 things we're going to be looking at when it comes to the playoff committee is, playoff committee, where are you going to rank these teams? And we can have lots of discussions on that. And playoff committee, what are the 2, 3, 4 teams that get the at-large bids? But we're not going to a 5+, 19. We're not going to a 5+ 27 or whatever. We're not going there, guys. So we're going to the AQ model. All right, ladies and gentlemen, phone lines are wide open. I've done enough talking. Everybody's mad at me. 763-260-1333, 763-260-1333. It is Saturday, August 16th. We are 7 days away from Watch Party, Farmageddon, Iowa State, Kansas State. Please join us next Saturday, please.
Call from
Christopher Hooter.
Christopher Hooter is on the line. The floor is yours. Give it a rip, sir.
Hey, Greg, how are you?
Today I'm doing fantastic. Today I'm absolutely doing fantastic. It's Tony Petitti and the fat guy from Minnesota against the world, exactly how I want it to be. Go ahead, sir.
Well, it looks like you're conquering the world there, Caesar.
Yeah.
It seems to be kind of trending your way. You got the tides kind of working with you now.
That's right. Let's go. Keep the momentum going.
Okay. Well, where to begin?
Take your time. Take your time.
Yeah. So they want to, in lieu of conference championship games, they want to kind of mix it up at that week 13 point. And that would be the step in for this 24-28. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
You're stuttering.
Well, no, I mean, honestly, first of all, and I called a timeout earlier in the live show. I'm not smart enough to figure this out. I'm putting down in the chat room. This is right here, guys, ladies and gentlemen. I can't even spell that right. Jeez, what is wrong with me? Hold on.
Yeah.
That's our email address for this show. So please send me your thoughts on what this would look like in a 24, 28, 20 team model, crossover playing games. However, just send me your ideas. Sir, I'm not smart enough to, I don't know how this is going to look, but go ahead.
Well, I thought that's what they kind of had in mind. Okay, we're going to eliminate the conference championships games. We're going to start then.
Yep.
Okay, well, one of the financial issues right off the bat is nobody has bigger ratings for their college conference championship game than the SEC.
Yes.
So they've got a lot more to lose here.
You're correct.
So that's already a problem. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I'll just stop there. So already you're going to have to give them more money than anybody else, and nobody's going to go for that. So. Okay.
Well, they're already getting
probably
more
dead in
money.
the water.
But they're already getting more money.
They're getting more money from their conference championship game, which you now want to eliminate.
Sure. I mean, we can negotiate on this. We can
right?
remember
Okay.
under this 12 team. Well, so under the 12 team playoffs. 12-team playoffs in 2026 model, if that was to happen, which it's not going to. Each SEC team is going to make, what was it again, 20-something million per team per year. Same thing with the Big Ten, ACCs.
From the playoff.
Yeah.
From the playoff.
Yeah, playoffs.
Okay.
Yeah.
But in this model, you're sucking up oxygen from the conference championship game.
I get it. You're correct. But
okay.
when it comes to payouts, this can be adjusted. In other words, the SEC will leap ahead of the Big Ten teams per team payouts because you're folding in the conference championship game. So you can look at the contracts that each conference makes in the championship game, fold it in, make the adjustments. I agree with you. The SEC teams per SEC should make a little bit more than the Big Ten because you are losing more in that conference championship game if that would go away. Go ahead.
Yep. Okay. So let's say we're doing that. We're eliminate conference championship games. We're going to throw them a little bone here, but whatever. Okay, that's what we do. So we're not really adding that many more games because we're eliminating a game essentially in the season, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I got that. This strikes me as a move by the Big Ten to try to keep the ACC and especially the ACC and the Big 12 alive, and maybe kind of block the SEC from expanding. That was my initial vibe. This is a Hail Mary. We got to keep them from getting North Carolina. How do we do this? Oh, let's go to 28 or 34 or whatever. That was my immediate impression.
I would say this. I believe the Big Ten expects the SEC to expand and take very high brands of the ACC. The SEC is going to get bigger. They're going to have a larger footprint. They're going to add on at least 2 to 4 big time ACC brands. And I think
you say that.
What?
You say that, but if the ACC is getting 5 teams in this new playoff model, right? 5 now. That's a lot. That's a lot more money. They've got unequal revenue distribution already. Well, UNC might go, well, moving, it may not be worth the political headache.
Sure, and that's why the SEC will insist that they get more AQs than the ACC. That's the give and take of it all, right?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
All right.
It's all.
Yep.
If a North Carolina is trying to figure out, well, should we stay in the ACC or go to the SEC? ACC is going to get this many AQs. The SEC is going to get more. It might be easier for us to get to the playoffs in the ACC, but dang, we're going to make a lot more money in the Southeastern Conference, and we're going to have to look out for a basketball program and everything else. They'll still probably go to the Southeastern Conference. Texas and Oklahoma went to the Southeastern Conference, not because winning the Southeastern Conference was going to be easier than winning the Big 12. No way. They went to the Southeastern Conference because of the exposure, the resources, and everything else that goes with it. But
I get that. Okay. Yep. All right. Okay. So those are kind of 2 initial thoughts. But I want to step back. Okay. So we went from the BCS, we went from 2, then we went to 4, and then we skipped 8, and we went to 12. Okay, now we're going to go to 16 or 18 or 24 or 28. Okay. Where does this end? Okay, why not just go to 120 and be done with it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, at some point we've blown this apple cart. We've just played this too hard. Okay, where is that point?
I thought the highest number that they would ever go to was 24. I might be wrong.
Welcome to 28.
Yeah. And the SEC has been looking at 32. That was in the Athletic article just an hour before I came on live. Southeastern Conference is doing it. So now the FCS does 24 teams, and they've been doing it for quite a long time.
Oh, that's the FCS.
Yeah.
Different world. Different world.
Yeah.
I want to. Okay, you just bear with me here.
Yeah.
Let's go back in time. We got through a time machine. It's Back to the Future. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Let's go back to 2013, the last year of the Bowl Championship Series. Right.
Yeah.
Let's go to the Iron Bowl. You know what I'm talking about. You know where I'm going here. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's 10-1 Auburn at home versus the defending national championship, 11-0 Alabama Crimson Tide.
Yeah.
And McCarron's the quarterback and all that, right? Now, the previous game for Auburn, they had this miraculous win over Georgia. They beat who had the quarterback, the Murray kid, whose brother was on The Bachelor. Yeah, I remember this because my wife was talking about it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so we're 2 weeks later. We're in the Iron Bowl. We have this fantastic finish.
Yep.
And the next day, I'm watching all the Sunday news programs, Meet the Depressed, and I call them Meet the Depressed, sorry, Meet the Press and all that sort of thing, okay? And all they're talking about is the Auburn-Alabama game. All right.
Yep.
Now, you play that same game in 25. Same exact 10-1 and 11-0. And now it's a yawner because Alabama's still getting in the playoffs. Yawn. Oh, well, we'll have to play them again in 2 weeks anyway, right? Or in a month. So I think we need to be careful where we're going with all this.
I've heard that argument, and I respect the argument, but I don't think the argument held up last year. Last year, we had a Michigan team beat the Ohio State Buckeyes 13-10. And that game
and did not eliminate them.
What?
So it didn't matter. It didn't matter.
Oh, no. Oh, yes, it did. Ask any Buckeye fan out there. It absolutely hurts them even today. It kills them.
Yeah, but they still made the dance.
I know, but the game still mattered. It absolutely still mattered. And it could have mattered to Michigan, but they weren't good enough to make the playoffs.
I get that.
There's
in another era.
Go ahead.
In another era, Michigan eliminates Ohio State right there, and it resonates across the country, not just on the border there, but between Michigan and Ohio State. That's kind of my input there.
I mean, there's a lot of games last year that mattered for the 12-team playoffs. That SMU Duke game was absolutely bonkers. I mean, there's a lot of games that mattered because teams are teetering on if they're going to make it or not that would not have mattered at all in a 4-team or 8-team playoffs. So I think overall more games matter when there's more teams have an investment in possibly making the playoffs. But I know there's people that disagree with me.
Well, historically, I would say historically. Now, I know we're in a new era, right? So maybe historically, maybe that's the wrong model. But historically, in any given year, there were maybe 6 teams, maybe 10, let's just say 10, that had the studs to make a run.
Yep.
Okay, historically. Now, maybe that's not still true, but let's say it is still true. Then why are we having a playoff beyond 10 teams? Well, what are we doing? If there's only 10 teams with the capacity to make the push, then why go more than 10? That's my question.
Okay, so this is my answer, and then we're going to go to more phone calls.
Yep.
Respectfully, and this was a great phone call, by the way. Please call again, sir.
Yes, sir.
I don't think college football today resembles what it looks like in many ways. Not always, but many ways. It's still the passion, the pageantry. But again, I just look at that Arizona State-Texas game. Arizona State was an eyelash away from beating Texas. An eyelash
Probably
away from
won.
beating Texas.
Probably should have won. Yep.
Yeah.
Probably should have won.
They were not considered a top 10 team in many people's eyes. Many people's eyes. So there you have it. I think that's just another.
Of course, they still would have had to beat, a couple more teams, right? But that's right for that one game. Yeah. For that one game. Yep.
All righty, sir.
Okay.
Appreciate the call.
Oh, we're good. Man. You're the man. I enjoyed the show, and we'll be talking to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Excellent.
Okay, bye.
Why have a playoff of more than 4 when there are only 2 teams that really, again, there's more than 4 that can win the playoffs. Ryan Brooks, Arizona State was not going to win 2 more games. How do we know? How do we know? Again, how do we know that? We don't. Man, you guys.
From
Ryan Thomas.
Ryan Thomas, the floor is yours.
I think it's going the right direction, Greg. I think it's going the right direction. I think one way that you could make conference championship games matter is you could still have them but you could give the conference championship game participants each a playoff berth, and the winner of that game would get a double bye into a New Year's Six game. So you could have the top 4 conference champions who get a double bye, and that would always end up being probably the A4. And then the loser of that game would just go into the pool of everything else. And however you needed to make the bracket work, you could have play-in games between cross-conference play-in games, and that conference championship weekend. So I think that's one way you could probably make it work. I need to kind of flesh this out and think about this more of how it could work bracket-wise, Greg.
Yeah.
It's just one way I think it could work. I mean, you could still have it matter. And I mean, in some years, if you have a really, really, really good G6 team that's undefeated and wins its conference championship, and somehow you get a really bad, Big 12 or ACC or, SEC or Big 10 conference champion, then maybe they don't get that bye. But, but I think that's probably one way to still make it matter, and then have those cross-conference playing games to fill out the rest of the spot. I'll email you something. I need to think about this. This is half baked.
Let me ask you a question here.
Go ahead.
Preston, you got a time? Are you busy or?
Yeah, no. Go ahead. I'm on the road, so go ahead.
Well, Preston from Greensboro says, personally not a fan of double buys. I'm not either. I'm not either. Here's the problem. One of the many hurdles to this, right? One issue is, I think it's very difficult, or at least the commissioners and ESPN, their media partner on the playoffs, think because of the NFL, it's very difficult to schedule 8 playoff games for a round, right? For a weekend. So if you're looking at the 2014 playoffs, if you go through the Athletic article, it sounds like 16 teams would play in the first round, and 8 of those would join the other top 8 teams for a 16-team second round, and then so there's only one bye in that, which I would rather have, which Preston from Greensboro looks like would rather have. But my question is to you, Ryan Thomas, and anybody else, how do you schedule 8 games?
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. And like I said, I mean, you don't have to necessarily give that conference champion a double bye, but maybe they get a bye or something from the first round. So, I mean, I'm just sort of kind of, trying to think about how to make it matter. Mm-hmm. So that's just my point. I mean, and I overall think, though, this is going the right direction, Greg, because I know people don't like the playoff getting larger, but when you stop and think about it, if you take something, for example, like a 6-6-4-4-4 model, Greg, that pretty much mirrors what the top 25 has been for the last whatever number of years, right? Because usually you have 6 or 7 SEC or Big 10 teams in the top 25. You have 4 or 5 ACC or Big 12 teams, and then you have 2 or 3 G6 or Notre Dame or something like that. So I mean, I don't think that this necessarily, I don't think it's a bad thing, and even in that sense, having those 2 extra bids for the SEC or Big 10 really doesn't bother me, because that tends to be what mirrors it. And if the Big 12 and ACC perform well in the playoffs, that will start changing how they're viewed by the media, and that could change the change the perspective later, to where you could have something where you look in halfway through the deal, and if based on performance, you can revalue who gets those 2 extra bids. I mean, I think that's probably a reasonable way to do it, maybe a way you can get everyone aboard. But I think you were spot on before when you said going to 18, and what you had mentioned, I think that makes a lot of sense, because you got to kind of give, you got to make, like I've harped on before, you got to give some value to the ACC and Big 12 to have the benefit of that too. So, 2 bids is kind of not necessarily a good thing for them because it means that, the play, you can have a play-on game, but your conference championship loser gets screwed. So, I think that it's going the right direction, and hopefully they get ironed out. I know people get worked up about this, but it just may be, Greg. It just might be December 1st. You might just be eating a hamburger with 3 patties, lettuce and tomatoes and mushrooms, and no cheese. No cheese.
I'm gonna be eating the cheeseburger. It's even if this miracle happens, the Big Ten probably be having. It's got to be 4 AQs for the Big Ten, or I'm eating a cheeseburger. So I'm gonna be eating a cheeseburger. So.
Well, all I can say, Greg, is eating that. I would do mushroom and Swiss.
Yeah, I might have to do that. If you all let me get away with that. Yeah.
I will let you get away with it. Mushroom and Swiss is acceptable to me, Greg. Anyway, I'm going to let other people call me.
Appreciate it.
Have a good day.
Sir. Yep. And, as I've started this live show, as I listen to the great phone calls, as I'm reading the comments, more and more college football reporters saying stuff like, Greg Sankey is looking more sane than whoever thought that Greg Sankey would be the sane one. Again, for those who are just showing up, for those who are not paying attention, the mega expansion that eliminates conference championship games is not an idea exclusive to the Big Ten. The SEC has internally looked at a playoff as large as 32 teams over the past few months. God, it's...
All from
Rick, the floor is yours. These college football reporters are about to make me explode with their incomplete hypocrisy. Go ahead, sir.
Total hypocrisy. Well, you really need to sit down for this one because what I'm going to throw on you is going to make you fall down.
Yeah.
Oh, good. You're sitting down. So what I'm thinking might be the end game here, you're not going to like. Others may like it. I think I like it, but you're not going to like it. And I know because you've expressed it before. But what I can see possibly happening is, first of all, everybody goes to 9 games. That's just a given. 9-game conference. Got it?
Yeah.
No ifs, ands, or buts, no nothing, no discussion, no nothing. If you want to be in the playoffs, you have a 9-game conference, period. Next thing. After you play the last game of your conference, you play Evil Badger and surrender the axe or retain it. We go a week later. We go to the Big Ten play-in week. Okay.
Yeah.
A week after that, we go to the cross-conference play-in week. And a week after that, we go to the CFP playoffs. See how that works?
Yep.
Now, where do these extra weeks come from? Well, this is the part you're not going to like. You're going to play one, I repeat, you and everyone is going to play one out-of-conference game. And only one. And then you're going to play 9 conference games for a total of a 10-game season before the playoffs begin.
Yeah.
Are you still in your chair?
Yeah, I'm still in my chair.
Okay. The one out of conference game gives Clemson and South Carolina their matchup.
Yeah.
and Oklahoma State their matchup if they want it, and whatever. But everybody's playing 9 conference games, and then, well, I'm not going to repeat myself. You got it.
Yep.
And I know you don't like it because I know you don't like the little guys not being able to schedule, make the money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But Petiti and Sankey and Yormark and whoever the clown is, Phillips, they don't care. And the networks do care. The networks care very much because under my system, it's maximum visibility game watching. Every game, every week is a great game.
All righty, sir. Yeah, I can't support it, but I understand what you're saying. I get it. I get it.
I think it's what the people want.
Okay.
Thanks.
You got it, Rick. Appreciate the call, my man. Yeah, I don't want to cut out the lots of new ideas coming on in here.
Call from
Rock and Rant.
Rock and Rant, the floor is yours. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, man. How does it feel like to have somebody listen to you, maybe?
I think if you watched the very start of the show, that could have been Tony Petiti on the line when I was talking into my phone, allegedly, or maybe I was making it up. I'm going to let you guys decide if that was really Tony or not. Rock and Rant, to be serious about it, my first thought is, oh, he listened to me, or no. My first thought was, oh, he's finally decided that 16 is too small and he knows this now, and that's why he's going bigger. But then an hour later, I read an ESPN report that said that Tony Petiti has not made up his mind between 28, 24, and 16 team model, and that 16 still could be the one he pushes. And I kind of threw my hands up in the air and said, no, Tony hasn't been listening to us, and Tony, no. But go ahead.
Well, that man exudes nothing if not leadership at an epic level.
Yeah.
But you know what? I can't get worked up like some people are about if it goes to 24. Let's just use that as the model. There's 14 out of 32 in the NFL. I don't see a lot of people freaking out about that. There's 24 out of more than 130 at FCS.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it can't be that this one division is completely unique in all of sports that the world will end if it somehow goes into a proportionately okay place relative to every other freaking sport we watch in America, out of America, and what have you, right? Like, I don't care if it doesn't go that far. If it goes to just 16, fine. But, like, I'm not going to lose sleep and probably never do a show other than to listen to people who want to complain about it, and because it will be off-season, we'll do it. I don't think it's a big issue. Like, the same teams will probably get eliminated. And this is kind of the reason why I have respected your opinion on the AQs. I have been adamant, at least at 16, against the AQs for the Big 12 and the ACC for the reason of perception and getting locked into a bad spot. And the one that I always said was, if you're either of those school conferences, right now the only thing you want to do is, as best you can for as long as you can, divide the Big 10 and the SEC, because you never know what happens as you get later in the time. So let's say that it lands at the 24, and it is an AQ model. Well, you go from being a 50% of your other conferences version of AQ, right, on this one proposed one, to like whatever it is, 60, 70, 65%, 70%, right? Like, it's not optically as bad. It's still not awesome because you're still being given less relative, right? And somebody earlier said, why would those teams still want to leave in those conferences? That's still ignoring the fact that there's still going to be a massive overall regular season revenue gap between the Big Ten, SEC, and the other two conferences, even if you're getting more performances and even if you're getting a disproportionate revenue share, because the baseline is still lower. of what you can get a disproportionate revenue share. But it's optically better. It may be like the Goldilocks version of this, where it's not awesome perception-wise, but it's no longer as terrible as it was.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, if it goes there, I can understand it.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Same one. I'm, you know, so I'm looking at the 24 team model, okay? And I'm not even going to get into what AQs, who gets what AQs. And I think the idea of crossover playing games is fantastic, right? So,
For sure.
Okay, so the Big Ten and the SEC may get more teams to get into the playing games, but they might not necessarily have more teams get to the round of 16 or however I'm still kind of confused on some of this. But besides that, the 24 team model, I don't like double buys. I don't think the coaches will like double buys. I don't think anyone would like a double buy. So how do you do a 24 team playoff? How do you schedule 8 playoff games for a weekend? How do you manage that? Because if you got 24, you're probably having the bottom 16 through 20, 9 through 24 play each other, right?
Right.
And the 8 winners will then join the other 8 teams that got to bye. How do you schedule 8 games in a weekend? Is that manageable at all, or?
I think it is. I mean, look, you're going to schedule some game that will get proportionately lower ratings, but it's not like, the Friday 4 p.m. West Coast slot in the NCAA basketball tournament is not watched, right? So you could do 2. And listen, there's a bigger overarching issue. Like, do you move the season up and up to get out of the way of the NFL? And now does the NFL, because they're investors in ESPN, want to work better, right? Like, that solves the problem of when the NFL is scheduling things on Saturday and which Saturday, and do you move the Army-Navy game, like, all of that stuff. But let's just say there's not that world. You could certainly do, 2 games on Friday, right? An earlier and a later window. Nobody complains about that at all in the basketball tournament. The ratings are awesome. It's just a longer weekend. You could start things a little bit earlier on Saturday to do that. Unless you might have to, if you're going that big and you're trying to crank them out, right? You're going to have a different situation than you have in the NFL. So there may have to be staggered times. It might have to look more like, the whole basketball tournament where the start times are staggering and there's 2 games going on at once. Like, you might have to bite that bullet. But in a world where they may have, the ESPN is going to have different apps, you can have both games on at the same time and see the kickoff in multi-window screens. Maybe that's the thing you're going to get, where it's wall-to-wall all day and there's no gaps whatsoever. And you just hope that, someone doesn't do like a 7 overtime game like Georgia Tech, Georgia, and mess up completely and miss a quarter of the other game. But I think those are things you worry. Like, those are rich people problems when you get the check.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
You'll solve it, and some games will be more valuable than others, and you'll put those more valuable games into those windows. And somebody will complain that they got the big noon slot, right? Even though that's the slot that Fox loves in their own regular season. But I think you solve that. I think you can do 2 games on Friday to clear that block. And I think you got to do what everyone's been saying. You make this should be week 0 in that world, right? Solve the problem, ask the NFL to give on one weekend, push it back, clear the decks on Saturday, all day, 6 games Saturday, 2 games Friday. I don't think you want to do a Thursday. I don't think you want to do a Monday. I think that causes weird things. The league, all of these should stay as close to possible as Friday, Saturdays. I've never really understood why we do the national championship game on a Monday night in college football. That's really stupid. It should be on a night that people can have a good time. I still don't even get Super Bowl Sunday, actually, but I don't get why we do that. So try to just block them up from Friday through Saturday and overlap if you have to a little bit that first weekend. The worst thing we do is have too much football at the same time. We spend every Saturday watching 16 games at once anyway.
Yeah. Alrighty, sir. Rockman, I appreciate the call. You guys probably not. Are you doing an emergency live show tonight, Sunday night with Moen, or what's going on?
Yeah, we'll wait tomorrow for everybody to get really mad.
Got it.
And
Yep.
absorb it, and then be like how to deal with all of
Yep.
all of the things that they just will like
Yep.
rain on the parade of what I just said. So, but we will catch everybody tomorrow after you, hopefully, or before you, depending on what you decide to do.
All right. Appreciate it, sir.
Have a
Yep.
have a good one, guys.
You- Ba, 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 ba. Hold on 1 second. Nope, I didn't want that. Shoot. I did not want that. Hold on. Couple comments here I want to highlight. And again, here is 2 Friday. I think most people are saying is like 2 Thursday games, 2 Friday games, and line those things up, 4 Saturday games. Here's the problem. Like Tough Tony. Southeastern Conference goes to 9, the playoffs expand to 16, otherwise they stay at 12. Here is the thing. The Southeastern Conference doesn't want the playoffs to stay at 12. The Big Ten don't want the playoffs to stay at 12. They just don't want that to happen. They want to increase the playoffs. And there's a lot of reasons for it, but it all circles around money. And a lot of it circles around the expansion of their own conferences. And to be able to expand their conferences, they're going to need more opportunities for more teams in their conference. And there's going to be continued imbalanced schedules in these large conferences. That is unavoidable. It is unavoidable. Large conferences scheduling, the scheduling is going to be unbalanced. You're not going to be able to avoid it. So playing games help that, right? You're looking at a team that's, for whatever reason, the tough teams that they played against had injuries, whatever. They go 11-1, and people are saying, who do they beat? Well, they got to play a playing game. They got to win a game if they don't win a conference championship, however this is set up. But these conferences are going to grow. They might not grow much more, but they're going to grow from their current number. They're going to want the playoffs to grow. And they're going to want more opportunities for more teams in the conference. And their media partners are going to want all these regular season games, more of them to have more meaning, right? You're gonna have a Southeastern Conference game in November, and you look at the standings, and the winner of that game could slide to 11th place. The winner of that game is going to be in 5th place. And guess what? That 5th place Southeastern Conference team is going to be given the opportunity to play in a playing game. So that November Southeastern Conference game is going to have even more importance than it's ever had before. Just look at the Big 12 and the ACC. I mean, 12 with unbalanced schedules would be, it was, people complain about it, right? People complain about Indiana. People complain about Texas. A lot of complaints about Indiana because they played Washington and Michigan in their conference schedule when they both took a couple steps backwards? Or what if Indiana had to win a play-in game to get to the playoffs after they went 11-1, and they won that play-in game? Everyone would say, okay, they're good to go.
Call from
Chris Kenny.
Chris Kenny, the floor is yours. Let it rip, sir.
Hey, Greg. I'm just joining the show a little while ago, so maybe what I'm about to ask and discuss has already been covered, but you'll indulge me, I hope. What are we doing here? What are we doing with this nonsense? I mean, I am as big a Big Ten guy as there is, and as a Northwestern alum, a 32 or 24 or whatever team playoff is probably the best chance Northwestern stands to make the playoff, although Indiana proved that wrong last year, so I guess anything's possible. But I do not get this. I do not get this at all. And I just heard you say a moment ago, like all the reasons why the Power Two, but particularly the SEC, it sounds like the SEC even more than the Big Ten, like wants the playoff to expand because they want to expand as a conference. They want more money. They want this. They want that. They have the home field advantage to get the schools in the Southeast that they want. It seems to me like the SEC's got a lot of wants here.
No. Let's make something. Both the SEC and the Big Ten wants this thing to expand. Both do. Both.
Well, I understand that they both want it, but it seems to me like I'm just stepping back here. Yes, of course you would want it to expand because why wouldn't you want more of a good thing? Like I get that. I get that as kind of the general sentiment, but you know, when you start listing the reasons, specific reasons why the SEC wants to expand, it seems like they want. There's a lot of things they want. You know, you've also said, which I agree with, that like the Big Ten isn't dying to expand. They've got 18 teams. They won the last two national championships. They cleaned up in bowl season. They got more teams in last year's playoff than any other conference. If they can't get Notre Dame and North Carolina, let's just say it's Notre Dame, they're not probably not going to expand at all anyway. So who's really itching for like all these things that they need to fall in place in order to get what they truly want? I mean, it sounds to me, and I've said this before on your show, that the status quo works pretty well for the Big Ten, and the one who's itching to do all this new stuff really is the SEC. So, okay, great, but like, what are we going to have? We're going to have like the 8th place SEC school get into the playoff, the 8th place Big Ten school get into the playoff. Like, no, why? I'm not clamoring for that. I don't know anybody who's clamoring for that sort of thing. And so if the need for the SEC is to grow, we got to grow. We want to add these 4 schools, and we want to do an international media rights deal with Netflix. And we need North Carolina and Virginia, or North Carolina and Duke. Whatever. Fine. Like if I'm the Big Ten, I think there's a reason Tony Petitti's not made up his mind. I think that's deliberate. I think 16 is the number. I think 4422 is the model. And just because people aren't agreeing to it today does not mean that they can't come around to it 2 years from now. I've said this on your show before. Like, Big Ten's in a really strong position financially. Big Ten can wait this out. Big Ten is getting better as a football league every single year. Its recruiting is improving. The number of draft picks that they're sending to the NFL is improving. They are not at the SEC's level and the talent measures yet. They're not. I agree with that. But they're as close as they've ever been. And the gap is shrinking every single year. So like everything is working for the Big Ten right now. What on earth is the incentive to blow it up today for some cockamamie 24-team league when I do think if the SEC really wants what it wants and it wants to go to 16, or excuse me, it wants to go to 20, but they want to go to 9 games, but they need the greater playoff access to make all of that work, fine. Wait 2 years or whatever it is until they're ready to do that and they're in a position to negotiate. This is too early. I think this is rushed. I think it's way too hasty. I don't think that they should make a bad deal that will dilute the value of the regular season, dilute the quality of late season games at the top of the conference. Yeah, you might have suspense among teams like 10 through 7 or 11 through 7, 12 through 7, whatever it is. I don't know. I mean, I don't think that that's like really where the interest and the growth coming from casual fans and engagement is going to be on, to see whether like Mississippi State and Missouri is going to play their way into the playoff. No, I just don't see that that's a compelling enough reason to blow up a model that's working quite well. You have a better alternative in hand. Stick with it. You know, time is on the Big Ten side. They don't need to rush into something foolish. The SEC is kind of come around. They were on board at first. I've said this before, but it bears repeating. They were on board with it. They backed out when their mediocre coaches threw a fit about it because they know they're going to lose their jobs if they have to get one or two more losses through a ninth conference game and a crossover game against the Big Ten. So fine, it all blew up because the SEC leadership, the ADs and Sankey, couldn't handle that blowback. I don't think they were anticipating it. Okay, that's today. That's 2025. We've got, 5 more years left on this deal? 5 more years before all the conference deals, conference media agreements come up for renegotiation. That's when the churn happens. That's when the chaos happens. That's where you get opportunity. I think rushing headlong into something like this is going to set you up for long-term dilution of the product. It's not going to breed competition. Competition is what sells. And I hate to say this because I love college basketball, but the regular season in college basketball is just not compelling anymore. It simply isn't. And it's gotten less compelling the bigger the conferences have gotten. I don't think you want to follow the college basketball model in college football. Wait it out. Time is on the Big Ten side. They don't need to do this. I think it's a really dumb idea.
All righty. I think you've stated your case exceptionally. I don't agree with all of it, but you did a great job, sir.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens.
You got it. Yeah, we'll see.
Have a good Saturday. Have a good Saturday night.
You got it, buddy. Appreciate it. Chris
Goodbye.
Kenny, great call. Great call. I do think there is possibly a misconception, and maybe I'm guilty of it, because I often say stuff like the SEC most likely will act first on the next expansion wave and all that. But, the Big Ten is going to expand at some point. They're motivated to expand at some point. And one of their greatest motivations is demographics. So they're going to make one more move, in a large part based in demographics, to help them with the demographics. It's a national conference. It's going to go international. They're going to push their branches. The SEC and the Big Ten have a lot of the same motivations. And I think they both want to do it sooner rather than later. And I think that is pushing to get that politically, internally passed. That's why they're pushing for a bigger playoff. And again, for those who I'm seeing so many comments on my DMs and on X account. It's like the SEC's position on this is not a whole lot different than the Big Ten position, but the Southeastern Conference does not get any of the flack. The SEC has internally looked at a playoff as large as 32 teams over the past few months. And that is going to be heavily AQ. Of course it is. And the motivations for the Southeastern Conference in doing that is the same motivations that Tony Petitti is looking at, the larger playoff model. I am convinced, and I know a lot of people think I'm wrong, but I'm completely convinced that the AQ model is the way that this is going to end up. Either within the next 4 years or if the SEC and the Big Ten break away or whatever. AQ model's coming. So, and the AQ model doesn't work with 16 teams. Not when you have 4 autonomous conferences. not when you have some independent program. The 16 number is just not big enough. So you got to go to 18, you got to go to 20. For whatever reason, Tony Petitti has skipped those two numbers and gone to 24 and 28. And according to the Athletic, the SEC's been kicking around models all the way up to 32 teams. So, and I think it's probably for the same motivations, right? They want more teams longer in the season because they think it heightens the value of the regular season, not devalue. Last year, we had a 12-team playoff for the very first time. And the 12-team playoff model significantly raised the value of the regular season versus a 4-team playoffs. I don't think it was even close. Now, at some point, you're not going to get the same return, right? You can't just... At some point, the number has got to be the number when it comes to the college football playoffs. And I think 18 is workable. I think 20 is workable. But Tony Petitti went to 24, and it's obvious that the Southeastern Conference has gone to 24. Obviously, as they look at these future playoff models. So, I think it's all coming. Exactly how it looks like, we shall see. We shall see. I want to thank you guys for joining us today. I appreciate it. Saturday live show, college football's peek around the corner. I want to thank a whole lot of people here for your donations to help us keep the lights on. Opie D. Dow, Preston from Greensboro, the Evil Badger, Bill G. Ryan Thomas, thank you so very much. Daniel Gorby, thank you so much. Has been. Heartbreak 25. I'm sorry, Heartbreak 25. I did not even see this one. Thoughts on Phil Knight giving $2 billion to Oregon for the cancer research. Holy smokes. Yeah, I saw that. That was incredible. Thank you to Phil Knight and his family for that incredible donation. All I do is I think about all the people that have been helped and will be helped in the future in our ever-ending battle against cancer. All that research has done incredible stuff. And Phil Knight, thank you so very much. That is my thoughts on that. That is my thoughts on that. Thank you, Phil Knight. The Architect, great show, Greg. Thank you. Appreciate it. So thank you for the donations. Thank you for all of your generosity, your comments in the chat room. If you haven't done it yet, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. I absolutely 100% believe the large AQ model, the large AQ playoff model is destiny. It is our destiny. I know a lot of you want to keep fighting it. Fight it. But I think it's coming. I think it's absolutely coming. This has been your peek around the corner to the large AQ model. Until next time, from all of us at College Football's Peek Around the Corner to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. And as always, God, family, Golden Gophers.